Hello. Hello, dear participant. We will be starting the meeting soon by 10, 7, 10. Hello. Hello. But guys, is it okay now?
Hello everyone.
Hello. Hello, Adit. Is it same for now or the echo is gone?
Has anyone joined from Black University, Afghanistan?
Hello, I am from Afghanistan.
Hey friend, there are a lot of students from Afghanistan who have registered for this event. If they are from
Yeah,
class, ask them to
yes,
join. Starting in
that's
5-10 minutes. In 5 minutes.
okay. Okay, okay.
Okay,
You're all my classmates in university.
okay. Okay. Anyone from Arya University?
No university.
Okay. There were some students from Arya University as well.
Yes, yes. They are also my friends.
Okay, you can ask them to join as well.
Okay.
Those who have registered for this event.
Hello. Hello,
Yes,
Adit, please,
Joshidas.
please continue.
Joshidas, there are students in the queue. Just confirm. Allow them. Good evening, everyone. Uh, I welcome you all. I cordially welcome you all on behalf of the Bridge LPU to the most awaited event, Introduction to Various Civil Engineering Softwares, Part 1. Here we will be discussing lots of in-trend softwares which are being used in civil engineering industry and are catering to industry demands. Today we will be having Mr. S. Ganesh, who is having a 7 years experience in teaching and also has worked in industry as a structural engineer and is handling residential and commercial projects in region of New Delhi and Chennai. Uh, Now I will be handing over to my friend, my colleague Joshidas to continue.
Hello, participants. Thank you for the event. Thank you, President Mr. Aditya. Welcome once again to all participants. Today's session will be highlight the quick understanding of various software that we use in the field of civil engineering. The theme of this webinar session is to guide the young civil engineering students, to guide them in their career aspects, and to keep you updated on the software application in the civil engineering field. I am requesting the participant to mute the mic and camera to conduct the session smoothly. Questions can be discussed at the end of the session, or you can drop them in the chat box. We will be taking a group selfie at the end of the session, so participants will be requested to turn on the camera at the end of the session. Now, I'm handing over the session to our speaker, Sir Ganesh. Thank you.
Thank you, President.
and as well as Joshidash as our organizer team. And also on behalf of Lovely Professional University School of Civil Engineering, I would like to thank students organization to conduct the event on introduction to various civil engineering software. So to identify and to address the junior civil engineers in order to understand what is the major application of civil engineering software and what the various stages that you want to come across and that you are going to start your career as a civil engineer. So the session address you a highlight on the civil engineering software. So I'll be taking you to one part of software and will explain you what is the need of the software and basically what is the help, what are the outcomes that you want to understand. Right, so that's the part of this session. So I hope you will be gaining the knowledge from this session. So what are the few points you can note down while I'll discuss the points? You can keep so that in the end of the session you can interact with me, you can have questions, that will be much good. Okay. So proceeding to the session today, that we are on the top of introduction to various engineering software. You can see the icons over here. You can see very clearly Autodesk, Hvac, 3ds Max, Stat Pro, Etaps and Project, MS Project, and Setup Pro is there. So all these are the various softwares that we are going to use in the civil engineering stream. So proceeding further that, so first of all, what is AutoCAD? You want to identify. So everybody is familiar with the AutoCAD. So where you want to make a 2D or 3D sketch. So that's the important. That is the most important civil engineer. So when you are a civil engineer, so you can't say that I don't know AutoCAD. So mark my words. So as a dynamic engineer, so you know what is the meaning of AutoCAD and what is the application of it. So if you are already aware of AutoCAD, drop yes in the chat box. So those who are already aware about AutoCAD or you have studied AutoCAD, you can mention yes in the chat box so that I can see the interaction with you. So if you have started the AutoCAD, so you can also mention no, I am not aware about the AutoCAD. So I'll explain you in detail for you people. Right. So I can see a very good answers in the chat box. Yes, majority are saying yes. Right. So everybody is familiar with the AutoCAD. So only for drawing purpose. So majority are aware about a drawing purpose. So what it does with GIS. So when you go with a map data or a geographical information system, so you want to deal with a map. So you are taking a survey. So when you take a field survey, so you want to incorporate these points in AutoCAD. So how you want to incorporate this in AutoCAD? So for basic drawing, we are aware about it. So making a plan or section, so you can use AutoCAD. But when you talk about survey aspects, so every civil engineer will come across the survey. So where you carry theodolites or a kind of wrenching rods, you take survey on the field. So after that, what you do? So how you want to be a smart engineer using AutoCAD GIS? AutoCAD GIS softwares are there. So where you can the benchmarking side data to the AutoCAD and directly it will generate the map. So wherever you want to see the map, so the AutoCAD will try to generate field data for your survey points. So whatever the survey points you have taken in the field, it will help you to identify that. So this is a new era of AutoCAD where you can incorporate the data of a survey. So that will be creating your 2D diagram. So as like your map, so you can get that data. The second which you are going to look is the Hvac. So very few people are aware about BIM concept. If you know full form of BIM, you can put in the chat box again so that I can see the answer. Those who know BIM full form. So what is the meaning of BIM? Quickly. Yes, what is the form of BIM? Anyone? Okay, Meyer said building information technology, building modeling, Basant Kumar, building information modeling, Rajnath. Yes, right. So the building information modeling is the right answer. So BIM stands for your building information modeling. So now as a trend, so you may be knowing the trend, what is the upcoming models. So building information modeling is the upcoming trend in civil engineering. So no more CAD drawing is going to be exist. So there is no more CAD drawings. So your all civil engineers is going to move into the field of BIM engineer. if you see some kind of a company profile, they ask you BIM modeler, they ask you BIM designer. So what is there in the BIM designer? So how you want to identify it? So in such case, the Revit software, when you start with the Revit, so Revit is a very basic software of BIM, right? So the Revit software helps you to identify the need of the information modeling. So when you do the information modeling, so what kind of information you want to add? So you want to add a data. So what kind of data you want to add as an information? That is called Revit. So there is a very big area for BIM. So high demand. So you can have a high demand, and job offers are there. So you have more number of job offers. So when you know what is the meaning of BIM, how it works with the Revit. The next, you need to know about 3ds Max. So 3ds Max is purely a rendering tool. So I can say that 3ds Max is purely a rendering tool. So if you want to do some rendering objects or any kind of image, so then you can use 3ds Max as a tool. The next, moving on to the next software that is called StatPro. So I hope majority are know about the StatPro. So maybe fourth year students are, if you are here, so you might be knowing what is the StatPro. So it's used for structural analysis. So when you give some data of load or when you give some design parameters, it will help you to make a design and you get your report, what is the size of column, what is the beam. So this is a StatPro concept. Then simultaneously, we also have a software called Etaps. So we have a concept called Etaps. So what is Etaps? So Etaps also you are going to see now today what is the Etaps going to do and how familiar with that. So what is the advantage when compared to StatPro? What all advantage you have in Etaps that I will explain you. Then the next 6 part which you are going to discuss is on the part of your MS project. So when you go for a project field or management field, so how you want to make a coordination among your higher authority and how you want to maintain the tracker project status. So that we need a MS project. Again on the right side, let's have a SketchUp. So again for architectural and modeling purpose as well as rendering. So maybe I have a V-Ray. So you might be come across V-Ray, Luminous software. So these are number of softwares that are add-on tools for SketchUp. So V-Ray, Luminous, all these are the helpful software that you can identify as a part. So yes, I hear some noise. Please mute it. Rajul, baby, can you please mute? Okay, so fine. Good. So further that, what you want to know, so where you are in the position. So you are right now here. So after your degree, so what you want to carry out, in which field you want to move further. So if you're planning to move as a planner, so first step you are going to think about that you want to go as a good planner ahead. So making a building drawing, so making a good sound of a building drawings, or you want to do the estimation. So when you want to do some kind of estimation, that you can go for estimation line. No, sir, I want to be a kind of a 3D modeler or freelancer. So you can go for 3D modeling. The first stage I'm explaining you, the planner stage. So you can make a drawing, you can do estimation, or you can do the 3D modeling part. So that is the architectural inputs, you can do it, rendering, all that. No, sir, I wish to be a designer. So I want to be a designer. Yes, you also can be a designer. But for being a designer, what kind of softwares you need to learn? So you need to be much stronger in the structural design. So you need to be more strong in structural analysis, RCC, and steel structures. So you 3 subjects are very important here: RCC, your steel, and structural analysis. So these are the most important subjects which you want to be a structural designer. So again, structural auditors. So you can also go as a structural auditor in bank. So what is the role of civil engineering in a bank? So you may ask, sir, bank is hiring a civil engineer student. So what is the use of that? Yes, you can get a job in bank as a civil engineer to do the auditing. So any building auditing you want to do. You want to go and inspect the buildings. So you want to measure the dimensions. So that way you can be a structural auditor. So they will give you some projects. You need to go to the site and you need to investigate that project. So what is the plot area? What is the building size? What is the beam quality? Materials is used. So you can be a strong structural auditor. So in that way, you can learn the StatPro, Etaps, all these things. And as well, if you are going for higher studies as a research fellow, so you can go for a research also identifying new materials. So what are new materials you can find out? Carbon material, glass fibers are there. So all this kind of research is also helpful in the making a design. The third, you can go into the field of management. So I want to be a manager in an office, or a project manager or a project head in an office. Yes, definitely you can be in a management field, but for that you need to be strong in project scheduling, contract and tendering, and risk analysis and coordination. So you want to be much more efficient in coordination. So your skill development should be more. So how you coordinate with the people. So how do you identify the risk in the buildings or in an organization? So where some kind of critical path, you might be studied a word called critical path. So where this critical path will be coming. So how to identify that critical path when you start with activities. So these are all the concept of management. The fourth stage I'm showing you as a programmer. So when you go for a programmer, so what is the meaning of programmer? So why I want to go as a programmer? So there is also a demand as a programmer. If you go as a programmer, so there are more demand market for civil engineers. Why? The reason is you want to be a developer behind the screen. So you can say as a behind the screen. So behind the screen, what you want to be, either it is a Autodesk company, okay, or it is a Tekla company.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, can you please pin the screen?
Just a minute. Yes, it's okay now. Visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. Thank you. Okay. So as you want to go for Autodesk company or a Tekla company or Bentley, so you want to go and join a Bentley company. So how you want to be a developer in that? So some kind of thing you need to learn. It's not a big task. So you can learn that is also as part of a developer when you go for some kind of a core company. So where you go to core companies. So it's not only I will work in L&T. So it's not that I will be strict only to the design. So I will work only with L&T company. So what is the alternative method? So what is your alternative choice? So alternative choice, you can go for the core developer companies where already using smartwatch. So everybody using smartwatch nowadays. So why we use smartwatch? So everybody love that product. So right, so to consume times, right? So what the technology is developing, according to the technology, you go ahead. So it's a change is required. Then app developers. Today you go to the Play Store. So where you go to the Play Store, you see number of apps are there in this today's part, right? So how you identify this app developers? So why these app developers are there? So number of apps in the Play Store. So even your civil engineering games, if you go and play civil engineering games, so where you see some kind of civil engineering games, so truck or lifting an object or crane or any kind of constructional games are there. So certain kind of app developers are also there, game developers are also there. So it's up to you which field you want to go. So I have showed you the guidelines.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, a screen is not visible for we people, sir.
Please check. My screen is visible here for all. Please let me know who is having facing a problem.
You will have to do it on your backend as well.
Just a minute. Let me try disconnect and I'll do it. Please let me know. It is loading. Check it out now.
Yes,
It's
sir.
visible.
Yes, sir.
For others, those who are facing problem. Okay. So please, organize. Please go ahead. If anybody having a problem, please let me know. Right. So proceeding further, so what we are discussing is all about the app developers, all these things. So quickly going to the software. So as a civil engineer, so where you want to be. So after your studies, after your master degrees or a BTech degree, so you want to go in the field of drawing or planning or 3D modeling or in a design and analysis or scheduling and management. So it's your choice. So it's up to your choice. But before you go, carry some projects. So before you enter any interview, so carry some set of projects that you want to showcase, right? So you want to explain them, so that we call it as a portfolio. So we call it as a generally a portfolio. The portfolios help you to identify what kind of projects you have carried out, so that you can go with small scale project that you can say that I have a particular project. So that will identify and value added to your resume. Right. So quickly going to the Autodesk. So all are aware about the Autodesk software, AutoCAD. So it is founded in 1982 by John Walker. So the CAD software has latest version. Today we have 2023. So starting from very old stage. So today we have Autodesk 2023 version. So, so why this go directly to the software to make a drawing? So that is called your easiest way to work with computer aided design. So how you work with the computer, that will help make your work easy. So everybody that's called architectural engineer, a structural designer or draftsman or model making a building models. So directly go for this Autodesk company that is using a AutoCAD. So what CAD do basically? So everybody is familiar with AutoCAD. I'm not going to take more time over here. So AutoCAD, we can make all kind of plan. So you can make a plan, you can make a elevation, right? So you can make elevation, then you can make a 3D model also. So all this can be possible using your AutoCAD. Now, how CAD has been developed? So the AutoCAD shows detail component. So, link components of the building. So, where is the hall? What is the room size? So, what is the area? Where the object should be kept? So, your dining chair, your sofa, or your bedroom. So, it shows the graphic identification. So, that gives you graphical identification. So, that add your value to the data. So, that's what the people go first trick to this. So, why the people go and fix this? It shows the valuable information. So it shows the valuable information, how the detailing is given in the site. So this is my roof area. So total area of this building, 71 meters square. So what all things is inside this component? So the information is given technical language to civil engineers. So all this can be understood with the easy image of construction. So better way of construction work. So how you can go ahead for the constructional activities, right? So this is you can identify. Right. Further that what you want to know is all about, so how this has been replaced now. So everybody have seen this. So how many of you use this pencil? So anybody use this pencil in your engineering diagram? You can put yes. So HB, 2HB, 3B pencil. Have you used this? Drafter scale. You might be seeing this drafter scale carrying in a flask, a chart flask. So you carry a chart flask also. So with A2, A3 sheets all folded, filed. So nowadays nobody is carrying that. So nowadays your juniors are not carrying it. So why your juniors are not carrying that sheet or drafter scale? The computer has replaced that. So the computer has replaced that part. So all this diagram, so whatever the line sketch you are going to prepare, so this line sketch is fed into computer. So when you feed this line sketch into the computer, what happens? It comes out using a AutoCAD software. So it uses a software. So when this simple line sketch, when this simple line sketch is fed into a system, so it converts that as a proper plan. So that converts as a proper plan. So you come to know what is the wall thickness, where the object should be kept, where hatching should be used. So you may be very familiar with hatchings. So wherever the hatchings are required. Column marking, if you give some kind of column marking, so you can go for some kind of column markings. So where the column should be there. And room detailing components. So we may call this as a legends. So we call the word called legends. So legend shows the descriptions of the rooms, where the rooms are kept. So right, then you can go for sectional view. So when you cut a section, how the building is going to look. So we have a sectional view also. So these are the way how you identify, how you see the building plan using a AutoCAD makes your work so easy. So this way, the work makes so easy for us. The next, moving on to the 3D modeling. So how I want to go for modeling software or rendering tools. So I go for rendering tools. So in what way you want to go for rendering tools, and what is the use of rendering tools that you want to identify? Yes, you can go for the Revit architecture. So you can go for the Revit architecture. Apart from that, apart from this Revit architecture, we also have ArchiCAD, and ArchiCAD is also doing good. So we can also go with ArchiCAD software. So very familiar here, it is the Autodesk product. So the Revit architecture. So that shows you a special information, that is building information modeling, BIM, I said earlier. So what it makes, so what is the most powerful this? So why it is so powerful? So why it is so powerful? Why people are going for BIM? So it shows that a professional to bring ideas from concept to construction, starting from 0 to 100. So that's the way the software is used. So starting from your idea, starting from 0 point to 100 points. So idea to construction. So all this is coordinated. So either you want to bring a electrical components, you want to bring a mechanical components, or you want to bring a sanitary connections in your house. So all the data is fed into the software, that is Revit architecture. So if you're not aware about this software, please go and Google it. You can get number of projects on the Revit architecture, and job offers are highly demand on this particular software. Right. So we have the model-based approaches for this. So it's a single software. So it's a single kind of application for all features of architectural design. So we call it as a architectural, engineering, and construction. So we call it as AEC, architectural, engineering, and construction. So this is the connection between all these three. And MEP is called for your mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So it is called mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So this is the full form, you can note down. So what is the meaning of MEP? Somebody asks you a question in the class or in the interview, what is the meaning of MEP? So you can go for it. So mechanical, electrical, plumbing. So why as a civil engineer you want to aware about the mechanical, electrical, plumbing? So in your house you have sanitary connections. So everybody have a septic tank and sanitary connection. You have water tanks or kitchen taps are there. So if any kind of repair, what you do? Immediately you call a plumber. So the plumber comes to your house, they identify where the pipe sections are running, and they used to break the tiles, and they identify the pipe where the leakage is coming. So if you visualize that, imagine that you have a cross section of that object. So you have a planner, proper planner or a model for that. So easily you can identify where is the problem, or where you have to make a marking. Way you can go for map, as well as for structural engineering. So when you go for structural design, beam, column, load distributions, seismic analysis. So over there we can go ahead. And also the most important, as a manager, when you go for construction, how you want to coordinate with the people. So that way we can go for Revit. So here are some projects where you can see this model. So these are some student projects I'm taking as an example. So this is a supermarket. So this is a project where we are working on supermarket. So where the supermarket has a plan, so sectional views are there. So these are some kind of racks, and these are some kind of cash counters, and these are some stacking area and staircase to the next level, and these are some waiting hall area and main security gate. So in gate, and this is out gate, right? So these are again backside for people and washroom area. So I have made a model for 2D to convert into 3D. So once you make a model and we convert into 3D, we can see how the stacking you can give. So what are the details, the detailed components you can see on the screen. So again, the ground, if you have any kind of store or any kind of storage, so you can keep this in the ground, and this will be in the first floor. So you can see detailed component as a part. As you can also give a sunlight pathway. So sunlight path. So starting from day to night. Day to night. So how much amount of light intensity? So that is going to fall on your building. So how much amount of light is going to induce in your building front area? So all this analysis can be done in architecture, that is the Revit architecture. So further that, we also have a MEP concept. So I just now explained you what is the meaning of MEP. So mechanical and electrical and plumbing. So additional to that, we also have a kind of HVAC component. So right, so we have a HVAC component. So what is that HVAC component? Anybody know what is HVAC? You can type the answer if you know. In the meanwhile, what is the meaning of HVAC? Go ahead fast. Anyone know the answer? Quick. Okay, go ahead. Heat. Okay. Full form. Ventilation. Okay. Heat, ventilation. Okay, fine. Air conditioning system. Fine, good. So heat, ventilation, air conditioning system. Right, good. Suraj Singh, yes, fine. So all these are the full form of HVAC component. So when you design that building component, so when you are designing this part, so I'm going to design this part. So where I want to keep the duct, where is the panel is running, so where is another duct. So these are some kind of out. So these are the channels if you see in a shopping mall, in a floor. So you can see this kind of duct. So the ducts are arranged. So the duct arrangements are done. So where the main board should be kept. So where you want to place the main board. So you can see some kind of main board supply. So from the main board supply, the air circulation will be done. So these are the way how the building is looked. So from outside when you see this way, but when you go and visualize in depth, what is the meaning of MEP, you can see this arrangement. Then few more projects which you can see for a similar kind of building, so apartment building. So where you have a kind of apartment building. So how you want to make a complete layout. So this is called your site. So this is your site. And these are some kind of detailed building concepts. So where you see the buildings and each floor area. So what is the floor area? Then plot area, total plot area you can find out. So then what are the parking space? So amenities, what is the amenities are provided to you? So these are all the details we can mark. You can have a walkthrough effect inside the building. So even you can have a walkthrough effect. So you might be heard this word very familiarly. So walkthrough effect. So imagine that you are going inside the building and you are visualizing all the paint color, doors, and your staircases, marble floors, so your lights. So everything has a walkthrough effect. So that we call it as a walkthrough effect. So I want to demonstrate to my client how the building is going to be. So then I can go for this walkthrough effect and I can add that points in the project. So next, moving on to the 3ds Max. So 3ds Max, purely speaking, if you are a good modeler or you want to be a architectural details. So purely for architectural students, 3ds Max is very, very helpful. And also for the game developer who is going to develop the games. So game developers also, the 3ds Max is useful. So you might be seeing the movie called Avatar. So you might be seeing the movie Avatar, GTA, what is a Free Fire game, so or Road Rash. So everybody has seen that certain kind of games, right? So Road Rash and NFS games and GTA games. So how these games are developed now? So how the characters are brought in the games. So you enjoy the characters, right? So how the characters are brought. So from the clip arts, so starting from part, drawing the sketch. So you want to draw the sketch of that character. Then we give that animation points. So we give an animation point. So how the hand should be moved. So I draw an object, some dinosaur I have drawn. So for that dinosaur, I want to give an animation. So you may see the Jurassic Park movie. So you see the very gigantic Jurassic dinosaur used to run behind the screen. So how they do that modeling? So animation. So basically animation and stimulation for games. So solutions for games, film, and graphic artists. So for them, 3ds Max is very, very useful software. So there's a big ocean for them. You can say there's a big ocean for them. So as a civil engineer, if you talk about 3ds Max, you can use for rendering purpose. So basically for rendering cost. So you can go as an interior designer if you are willing to go as an interior designer as a freelancer. Sir, I want to go as an interior designer. Yes, of course, no doubt. You can go as an interior designer. You can learn some basic carpentries, wall sketch, all this. Then use a 3ds Max. Definitely, it will be helping you for your future. So all this can be accelerate your performance and also the workflow to high resolution. So how you get a productivity output. So that's called the output. So how you get the output. So you can see some kind of interior designs. So where you want to hang a wall photos, or you want to have a lamp, or beds, or chairs, what kind of chairs you want to show, even some kind of a waste paper you are throwing on the ground. So you can see all this detailed sketch as a interior design. So these are the main structure you need, but you need all things high graphics. So you want to have a high graphics of laptop, 16 GB RAMs and i7, and you have to have a 4 GB graphic card. So high resolution graphic cards are required in order to run this kind of software. Right. So next, again, living room. So when you go for a living room, so you can show the living room. Then modeling. So when you go for some kind of modeling of sketches, so this is a look of the 3ds Max. Sorry. And then when you go for games, so what kind of character space you want to fix. So how you fix the animation. So when you go for a movie, animation movies. So all these are the visual points. So all these are the animation and dynamic points we say. So how that moves in the X, Y, Z coordinates. So this animation points will have a visual effect. So these are the coordinate points which you have a effect to move. Then again, games, when you go for rendering games. So how the games are developed and how you add the render image for that. Fine. So the next, coming to the next part, that is on design and analysis. So again, focus on the part of civil engineering, how you want to go for design and analysis. Right. So the design and analysis to start with over here is all about your stat pro. So please let me know again, yes or no. So how many of you studied a stat pro so far till date? So you can share your questions quickly if you are aware about stat pro till date, yes or no. So no. Okay, Mayer, yes. Amir, Bashir, no. So majority people are saying no. Right. So fine. So all fresh engineers, so you will be not aware what the stat pro is all about. So I will take you, few people are aware about stat pro. Well, good. So right. So those are not aware about stat pro, please make a note. So stat pro is nothing but structural analysis and design professional. The full form of this is structural analysis and design professionals. So what this do? So it's used to analyze and design. So you might be knowing the textbook numerical. So let us take a textbook numerical. So you have a textbook numerical, this is of 5 meters. So loaded with some simply supported or roller here. So certain loads are given. So you apply certain loads 5 kilonewton per meter. So right, so A and B. So I want to analyze this beam. So I want to analyze this beam. So the beam size should be given. So what should be the beam size? So let us say a B into D. So that is going to be 230 by 300 mm. So what material I am going to prefer? So what kind of material I am going to use? So the material is going to be like kind of concrete. So I'm going to use a concrete and steel rebars. So I'm going to use a steel rebars. So when you add these properties inside the stat pro, so when you add this design inputs to the stat pro, what stat pro will do? The stat pro will run the analysis. So it will take all the set of inputs and it start running the analysis. So it runs the analysis and it shows the design outputs. It shows the design output. So how this beam is going to deflect? What is the size of the beam is required? What the number of steel bars inside that beam should be? So deflection, what is the deflection is going to happen? So all that is the main rigid design. So how the stat pro is going to show. So these are having advanced features for a data collaboration. Now the latest one is the stat connect edition. So please make a note. Those are aware already Stat Pro. The latest one is Connect Edition. So you can go for Connect Editions. The latest it is available in the market. So that is called Connect Editions. So in Connect Edition, advantage is the slab design is much more easier in compared to Stat Pro V8 type. So compared to V8 type, the Connect Edition have more advanced parts. So that have a more advanced features where you can see the slab reinforcement, where one-way slab or two-way slabs that you can identify very easily. Right. Let me take you to the Stat Pro, what this is all about. So this is a building infrastructure. You can say as a skeleton. So this is a skeleton model. So only the beam and columns are there. So you can consider these as the beam and these are the columns. So you have, right. So what happens to this beam and column when you apply the loads? So now I apply certain loads there. So what load I will apply there? I will apply dead load. You might be studied about what is the meaning of dead load. You might be coming across the live loads, or I have some seismic inputs. Some seismic load, earthquake load is coming. So I can add some kind of earthquake load also. So when a seismic is coming, or I can add a wind load also. So right, so these kind of loads I can add into the building and then run analysis. So it will show where the failures are there. So it will show where the failure is going to come. So what is the beam size? What is the column size should be taken? So where is the slab is kept? So it shows a very graphical manner how these loads are distributed inside this building. As a fresh engineer, you may be not aware about this. I agree to that point. But yes, I promise you when you come to the third year, so when you go for the third year, you will be coming across this particular software where it is required in the companies like L&T, Soma, okay, and then we have a certain company that is Gamon India, okay, so Gamon India, then certain companies in consultancies, these softwares are highly used. So in L&T and Soma, Gamon India, so all these companies use this Stat Pro as a basic requirement for your civil engineers. So this is how the beam stress. So you might be a word called stress distribution. So what is stress? Sigma is equal to load upon area. So what load you are applying? What is the area? So a given load is within the limits or above the limits. So any warning can be identified. So that you can see graphical parts. So how much stress is distributed inside. So this is all about the Stat Pro. Then again, when you go for some kind of complex building, so you can see on the screen, so how complex building it is. So it's a kind of a shopping complex, right? So we can go for a shopping complex. So this we designed for a shopping complex. So it's a circular building as well as a rectangular section. So both is mixed. So I have a circular section also. I have a rectangular beams also. So I want to analyze this complex building in Stat Pro. Yes, you can do. You can do this analysis. So you can see the set of loads inputs. So how many load cases are added, certain combination in depth. If you see kind of combinations, we have some seismic inputs, how the seismic inputs are running in the building, right? So this way we can make the models. So you want to make the models. Then further that cooling tower. So whoever is in the power plant industry. So if you are aware about power plant industry, so when you go for power plant industry, so there also civil engineer is required, right? So when you design a cooling tower, so what happens in the cooling tower? So high stress pressure is there. So heat vapors. So hot vapors used to come out. So hot vapors are used to coming outside. You want to make it to reduce the temperature inside the cooling towers. So what kind of temperatural stress? So how much amount of stress is induced in this cooling tower? So that you can identify where the stresses are coming. What are the parameters of that? So you can easily and identify very graphical manner. So for designing a cooling tower as well. Other than that, truss. So when you go for steel truss, steel bridge. So when you go for a steel bridge, so in such case you can go for steel bridge. So how you want to identify the steel bridge? So where the tension failures are coming, where the compression failures are coming. So that you can identify when you apply certain loads on the bridges. So especially for railway bridge. So there you can see this identification of truss as a steel bridge or vehicle movement load. So vehicle loads. So when you apply some kind of vehicle loads. So how the vehicle loads are moving on this truss. So you can identify that. So I hope you might be studied influence line diagram. So how many of you studied ILD method? So you might be studied about ILD. So I hope you studied that ILD method, influence line method. Right. So where you studied this ILD method. So when a set of loads are moving, so when a set of loads are moving on a section, so you want to identify that section part. So that be called as a vehicle load. So we can use that in the concept of moving loads. Yes. So in a bridge design, especially in a bridge design. So in bridge design, we use that. So this way we can identify that as a truss analysis. Now, further that, we also have the next most important concept that is called Etaps. So people are waiting for it. Yes, Etabs is also one of the most highly demanded software in market. So what Etabs do when compared to StatPro? So the Etabs full form I have given here, extended three-dimensional analysis and building system. So you can note down those who want to take the notes. So what is the full form of Etabs? If someone asks you, it is nothing but extended three-dimensional analysis of your building system. So it's similar to the StatPro, how you want to make a model. So you want to make a model, you want to make a grid system, and you can repeat number of stories. So how many stories you want, G plus 8, G plus 10. So how much stories you need so that you can do the repetition. So as similar to that, here also we have a set of default slabs, drop panels. When you make a flat, when you go in depth into the subject, you come to what is the drop panels. So flat slab analysis. So that all things advanced level, you can go in tabs part. So what Etaps basically do, the Etaps interface looks like this. So similar to a StatPro, so you have a beams and you have columns. So now the entire loads, so what are the loads is distributed. The load distributed comes to this point. So I want to see what is the axial load on this. So I want to see the axial load on this particular column, or what is the load on this column. So what is the load on this column? So I can easily see the graphical manner, what is the size of the columns I use. So if it is a retaining wall, so suppose this is the retaining wall. So I have some kind of retaining wall over here. I want to design that retaining wall as well. I can do that in StatPro. So here you can see the story drift. So what is happening in the story drift? So how much amount of movement, displacement the building is going to have. So this way we can identify the behavior of the buildings. So how the building is going to behave with respect to given loads. So these are the detailed sketch you can see in Etaps. So these are also similar interface as you see in a StatPro. So how to analyze the building, what are displays, what are the detailing options. The advantage is the detailing. So you can do RCC detailing. So how you want to do the RCC detailing, you can get from this input. Then again, so you can see the detailing RCC values. So that is AST value. I hope you understand what is the AST, area of steel. So how much area of steel is required. So you can see the numbers here, 853. So 857 mm square at the starting portion. At the end portion, what is the AST is required? So 155. So when you take a cross section of the beam, a top section and bottom section. So very detailed manner the Etaps gives you. So very detailed manner, Etaps will provide you the AST value. It's not like StatPro, but here it is a detailed section. It shows the top section as well as the bottom section. So the line which you see here, so the line which you see in the square box, so 160, 1635, 840, 518, 688. So these are the AST value. So these are the AST value provided on the top section as well as at the bottom section. So this is why we can find out. Then similarly, you can find out for all the other sections. Next, we also have a scheduling management. So what is the meaning of scheduling management? How you want to identify a scheduling management? So how, which software? Yes. So here we are going to discuss on the Microsoft Project Management. So how project management is used and why it is used as a manager. Suppose I want to organize some event, being a manager or a construction manager. So I want to arrange everything. I want to think about labor, then I want to think about materials, then I want to think about equipment, right? I want to think about some kind of money related issues. So funding. So I want to think about funding agents. Then I want to think about contractors. So who is going to be my contractor? So supplier of materials or temporary equipment. So all these are the things which I need to know. So in such case, the project manager is required. So how you want to be a manager in office? So if you want to be a manager, under you, you have n number of people working with you. So if you are the boss, okay, if you are the manager, so under you, various divisions will be there. So under you, various divisions will be there. Division has engineers. So there might be a phase here. So how you monitor those that to manage when the make now work everybody you can see actually manage multiple projects having one particular so he can handling resource you want to station other incentive so you have a by traffic groups so how you have filter that option. There is advantages are here in this. See a look apart also where so we also have alternative we have a alternative CRIB primary and go for the US management. So this but it looks similar. MS this is also primary. Here also diagram of flows. So how many creating painting doors. So that shows so when you start the project. So at what time you started. So what a progress work. So that shows the graphical view as well. So final labor location days they have. So what is the percentage of labor used? So percentage. So the percentage of work done. How much amount of work I ask you as a project? Yes, it's completed. Say very 40% pending. Percent complete. As per my schedule, 80 days I will schedule the project. So 16% part. Certain class there may be there might be a truck strike, the material provided lines, critical situation. So there might be a critical situation and be without truck. I did class this is so how you want design what at your design. So yes, this is pro. How many of parts used or no in the if